What is a not fun fact? There is a genetic disease called FOP, where your muscles and tissue turn to bone, often called human statue disease. Eventually people may have to decide whether they want to become frozen in a sitting or flat/standing position. It was once thought for birds, parrots, magpies, to learn to talk, you had to release their tongue. This was done by cutting their tongue completely or partly off. Of course without any anesthesia or painkillers. The tongue release plays absolutely no role in the bird's ability to talk. Penguins rape the hell out of anything that looks vaguely penguin-like or doesn't move. In fact it was so rampant that the 1910-13 Scott Antarctic expedition decided it was best not to bring it up, so society wouldn't have to deal with the issue it would bring up. Scientists witnessed males having sex with other males, and also with dead females, including several that had died the previous year. He also saw them sexually coerce females and chicks and occasionally kill them. The scientists blamed this astonishing depravity on hooligan males, and wrote down his observations in Greek, so that only an educated gentleman would understand the horrors he had witnessed. Sloths only have enough energy for their weekly toilet trip to the jungle floor. If the baby falls from their underside in the trees onto the floor, they choose to preserve their energy and leave it to be eaten. In Australia there is a plant called the gympie which has such a severe sting that horses who brush against it throw themselves off cliffs because they'd rather die than continue to experience the pain. Yeah, it happens to people too. I like it's because of the toxin and the needle-like fibers on the plant. And the pain lasts for weeks, months to years. People beg for amputations, suicides, comas, narcotics, the works. Not a fun plant. On this episode of Fact Fiend with Carol Smallwood, in all seriousness there is a story about a guy who just wanted to take a shit outside, and he wiped with a gympie and just shot himself cause he got toxins on his ass. If a hamster gets too stressed, it will eat its kids. I had a hamster I had no idea was female. She had 7 babies. She ate 3 and suffocated the other 4. 2 weeks later, she broke out of her cage and found a mousetrap. That's a fun memory from my childhood. Black bears eat their prey alive and ass first. There are estimated 300,000 black bears in the US. Till bears eat ass. The #1 cause of death among pregnant women is murder. Cute, fuzzy little sea otters are known to rape baby seals to death. Male dolphins like to hunt fertile female in groups and hound them because they are unwilling. The females are often injured during this. Some even die. They will also kill any young that are with the females just so they can breed. Killing the baby to them is just getting rid of a distraction to the mother, hoping they'll become fertile sooner/more willing to mate. The threat of a deadly bird flu spreading to humans is always there. It takes just a little bit of negligence in screening chickens for this to happen. There are more deaths due to mental health issues than all forms of violence combined. People are struggling. Certain sleep disorders that cause you to act out your dreams are strong predictors that you're developing a neurodegenerative disorder like Parkinson's or Lewy body dementia. I wish I didn't recently learn about it. Not me. A loved one. The reason dogs love squeaky toys is because they sound like small animals dying. Bedbugs procreate by traumatic insemination. Males literally stab females with their genitals. So, just another reason to hate them then. Urine was used for teeth whitening and bleaching of clothes in ancient Rome. Yes, they rinsed their mouth with human and animal urine. Rabies is terrifying. You can get it and not even know it from bats, which live across the globe. It might hit you right away. It might be in 3 years. But it doesn't matter because once symptoms set in, you're already dead. A blue-ringed octopus, found in the Pacific, is a tiny and cute little guy, but one painless sting gives enough venom to kill 25 male adults. A man once had a tapeworm get cancer. That cancer metastasized, and the man died from tumors of tapeworm throughout his entire body. In countries that require you to opt into organ donation, fewer than 15% of people register. In the US, an opt-in country, 18 people die every day waiting for an organ transplant. Opt-out countries see over 90% of their population registered for organ donation. There's a government-led genocide going on in northern Ethiopia right now. Most power outages in the US are caused by squirrels. During WW1 thousands of dogs were taken from families for the war effort, and when the war was over most of them were just shot, because it was cheaper than feeding them for the trip home and finding their homes. You can have an aneurysm and die at any moment. Armadillos can carry leprosy and can pass to humans just by being in proximity. Kind of fits the mood of 2020 to 2021, one could argue. Dolphins who are sexually frustrated can rape/gang rape humans. Greifswald nuclear power plant, 1976, the almost Chernobyl of East Germany. In short, due to a short circuit resulting in a fire, then almost all coolant pumps failed. The New York Times says, Chernobyl-scale nuclear disaster was prevented only when a single water pump in the emergency cooling system was able to draw off pressurized water heated to high temperature by the decay heat left in the reactor's core, thus preventing a meltdown. This incident became public with reunification in 1989. If two male flatworms meet, they will sword fight with their dicks until one loses. The loser will become female and they will mate. Drinking urine used to be a popular activity in ancient times. Edit. Physicians used to describe urine as a remedy for a number of diseases till a recent time, when scientists discovered that there is no evidence to support any beneficial health claims of drinking urine. What I meant is that it was normalized back then. Now it is practiced by few superstitious fanatics and porn weirdos. Chronic wasting disease. Forgive me, I'm no expert. It's a prion disease. It's kind of like mad cow disease for deer. It's 100% fatal. The problem comes with the fact that prions cannot be destroyed. So the infected deer can urinate in a field, spreading this disease into the soil, then into the foods we eat. It's been shown to infect some primates as well. So the risk of human transmission must not be ignored. Learning that last night definitely kept me from sleeping soundly. Quokkas, the world's happiest animal, will throw their babies at attackers if threatened. Despite being the largest mammal, blue whales do not have large assholes. They defecate with an anus the size of a grapefruit. Spider rain, you read that right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon. Hitler admired America for the way we treated the Native Americans during the Trail of Tears. First responders are always at least minutes away, and you can die in seconds. We operate fast-moving death machines, and are often separated from other operating them by nothing more than an agreement not to cross a yellow line that someone else painted. It's entirely possible that you care about more people than people care about you. Why would you hurt me this way? Some of us will die in a few hours. Every day several hundred babies are born in withdrawal. This one hits home, because my brother and me had an old friend called Summer who was born addicted to crack. Her mum had a heart of gold, but really screwed Summer, since she was born with all kinds of disabilities. She left our school when she was ending year 2, and I always wanted to know what happened to her. Himalayan blackberries can allegedly grow under your skin. HMAS Sydney in WWII tried to stop a random freighter for a check. The commander was placed under conflicting orders. If he judged it could be a German supply ship, he was to get as close as possible to board and capture it, so it couldn't be scuttled in time. If he judged it to be a German merchant cruiser, so a heavily armed ship in disguise, an allowed ruse, as long as it revealed its true identity before the first shot, it was to stay as far away as possible, so the superior guns and the own armor. The merchant cruisers didn't have any armor and their guns were WWI veterans, could be used to best advantage. The commander decided for the harmless freighter/supply ship. It was German merchant cruiser Cormoran, which could open fire on point blank range, so that her guns couldn't miss, and Sydney's armor didn't help. The two ships sunk each other in the battle. Sydney was lost with all hands. If you get rabies, by the time symptoms show up, it's already too late. Climbing Mount Everest has a 6.5% mortality rate. What's more harrowing is that if you die, you will most likely be left there. There's currently over 200 dead bodies on Everest that are irretrievable and now serve as markers for other climbers. Not a bad place to eternally rest, but upsetting for those left behind who can't give you a proper burial. There is more slavery in the world right now than at any time in history. The FDA allows a tiny amount of things like rat droppings or insect parts in certain foods. Frogs don't feel love. Scientists are saying, more and more with each study, that COVID is here to stay. It's endemic like the flu. COVID will mutate, and we'll have new versions every single year for the rest of humanity, likely. Every 41 seconds in the USA somebody kills themselves. Air-breathing mammals like whales and dolphins might beach themselves because they got old, and it's better to die in the sunset than to drown at sea. The parasitic spores from The Last of Us exist for real. They are modeled after a real-world parasite that turns insects into literal zombies. An 18-year-old can legally adopt a 17-year-old. A lot of the time the animal you eat had shit inside it when it was killed. Edit. Every time. The glaciers of the Antarctica shelves have melted and continue to melt at so fast a rate that even if we enacted radical and worldwide climate change laws today, it's going to take hundreds of years to recover them to their pre-industrial levels. The most common way for sloths to die is by mistaking their own arm for a tree branch and falling to their death that way. There are many people in positions of authority who are sex offenders and pedophiles. The oxygen your breath is actually oxidizing the iron in your blood. Although the iron gets replaced by diet, you're basically making rust in your blood with every breath. Some perfumes, or more specifically, musks you use come from the anal and secretion glands of musk deers and civet cats. Someday you will pick up your child, put them down, and never pick them up again. When two people kiss they effectively make a 60-foot hose that starts at an anus and ends at an anus. Happy kissing. After 51 years, someone cracked the second code from the Zodiac serial killer, and it doesn't reveal anything. Just gibberish. Edit. I realize many people are confused by my meaning of gibberish. The secret message is cracked and reveals real and understandable words and sentences. But the message itself doesn't reveal anything important and is just random BS Zodiac pulled out of his ass. Zombies are real. At least in the insect world. 1/500 Asian men as a direct, i.e. father-son, descendant of Genghis Khan. That is a lot of rape. France forces several of its former colonies to pay a colonial debt to pay for infrastructure set up during the colonial era. The lemmings are not suicidal, and the documentary What Film Did was actually showing lemmings getting thrown down a cliff because they needed the scene, but couldn't make the animals do it. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.